Welcome class to SPSS Assignment Part 2, a how-to video on how to use SPSS for the second part of the SPSS assignment. Let's take a look at the directions. Complete the assignment below and submit in one document in Canvas. Do not submit an SPSS file. Put your SPSS outputs for each task into a single document in a format acceptable for submission in Canvas, for example, Microsoft Word or PDF. Please do not submit an SPSS file or multiple files for this assignment or you will be marked down. Okay, here we go. Task 1, which is a one sample t-test. Let's take a look at the directions. What you'll submit for task 1 is a one sample t-test output for the study below. You want to study the effects of caffeine on memory, and you have 30 subjects who are willing to participate in your study. So you give your subjects a caffeine pill, give some time for the pill to take effect, and then give them some time to study a list of 10 words and test them for recall. You've done this memory test countless times with past subjects under the same conditions, but these subjects were not caffeinated, and you found that their mean recall was 6, but you did not collect the data or collect the standard deviation. So in this experiment, you know the population mean, which is 6, but you do not know the population standard deviation. Therefore, you're going to run a one sample t-test with the data below to see if caffeine improves memory recall. So you're going to start a new file in SPSS, which I've already done. And you're going to enter the data. And so the data into column 1. I'm just going to highlight this and press Control-C to copy it. And then I'm going to plop that information right in there. Then it most likely says, let's go to variable view, right? And name our variable. I hope I'm doing the directions right, which is caffeine. Leave type as numeric. And in measure, we're going to put scale. So caffeine, numeric, and scale. We good. And then we're going to run the one sample t-test. So from the Analyze menu at the top, choose Compare Means. Analyze, Compare Means, and this is where all of the different tests that you're going to do for this SPSS Assignment 2 are going to be. So all pretty nice, it's all in one area. So we're going to choose the, again, Analyze, Compare Means, and then the one sample t-test. We're going to highlight the caffeine variable and put that over in the test variable there. For test value, we're going to put 6. And then we're going to put OK. And that's going to give us the output right there. And then again, I give you multiple ways in which you can export or get this data over to your Microsoft Word document or whatever that you want to use to submit this assignment. And so that's pretty easy cheesy, lemon squeezy, as my daughter would say. And I'm just going to delete this data here and get ready for task 2. Woohoo! Task 2 is a paired samples t-test. And what you'll submit for task 2 is a paired samples t-test output for the study below. Here we go. You want to study the effects of caffeine on memory again, and you have 30 participants. You decide to do it within subjects design using a pre-test, post-test design. So you give your subjects a fake caffeine pill, placebo, and some time for the pill to take effect. Then you give them some time to study a list of 10 words and then test them for recall. You give them a break to rest their minds. Subsequently, you give the same subjects a real caffeine pill. Give some time for the pill to take effect. Give them the same amount of time to study a similar but different list of 10 words. And you test them for recall. Column 1 below contains the scores of your subjects after they took the caffeine pill. That's your post-test. And column 2 below contains the scores of your subject with the fake caffeine pill, placebo, which is the pre-test. Okay, so remember in this one, we're comparing the pre-test scores to the post-test scores. And we're seeing if there's going to be a significant difference with the post-test scores. So here we go, task 2. So I've got column 1, which is our post-test scores, which we hope are going to be better. And I'm going to plug that in to column 1 right here. And then for column 2, these are our pre-test scores without the caffeine. I'm going to plug that into column 2, right here. Okay, so let's take a look. Yes, 30 scores. We had 30 participants. Remember, we have our pre-test and then our post-test scores right here. They look pretty good at face value. Remember, each of these, this is the same individual, 1. And you've got your pre-test and post-test, individual 2, pre-test, post-test, individual 3. So these scores are matching up. Okay, remember that. That's why they call it a paired samples t-test, because they match up. Also called a dependent samples t-test in other literature. Okay, so I digress. What are we going to do now? We're going to label our variables. So in variable view, remember at the bottom right here, variable view, you click that. You name your variables. And in the column 1, we're going to call it caffeine. And in column 2, we're going to call it placebo. So column 1, or row 1, we already have it as caffeine. In row 2, we're going to label it placebo. Okay, and type is going to stay numeric. And then we're going to specify the types of measures, which are going to be scale for both. And looks like we are good to go. Placebo. And we're ready to run the data. Analyze, compare means, paired samples, t-test. Here we go. Analyze, compare means, paired samples, t-test. Let's put in caffeine in the first one. Let's highlight placebo and put it in for our paired variable right there. And we'll simply press OK. And then lo and behold, there's our paired samples t-test output. You can highlight those things and put them into a single document that you'll submit into Canvas. And that is the paired samples t-test. Let's delete this data. Or you can open up a new file. I just deleted it. And the next task we're going to do is task number 3, which class is an independent samples t-test. What you will submit for task 3 is an independent samples t-test output for the study below. You want to study the effects of caffeine on memory, and you have 60 participants. Wow, you found 60 people. Give away some free pizza or something like that. These hungry college students, so it was pretty easy when you're giving away free pizza to get them in there. Of course, that might skew your sample to pizza-loving, eating students that have time to eat pizza and do a study, but nonetheless, here we go. You want to study the effects of caffeine on memory, and you have 60 participants. You decide to do a between subjects design using simple random assignment. Okay, between subjects design means you have different participants in each group. Within subjects, person gets the same person gets 2 different treatments, right? Between subjects, you're going to randomly assign people into different groups. So you randomly assign subjects into 2 groups, the caffeine pill group and the placebo pill group. So you give your subject the pill and some time for the pill to take effect. Then you give both groups the same amount of time to study the same list of 10 words, and then you test them on recall. Column 1 contains the scores from both groups. The first 30 scores are from the caffeine group, and the second 30 scores are from the placebo group. We've done this before in SPSS Assignment number 1. So you may have remembered what we're going to do now. And we're going to copy column 1 into column 1 right here. And we have 60 scores. Yoo-hoo! And then we're going to copy column 2, which is 31s and 32s. You'll remember why we were doing this from SPSS Assignment 1. So we're going to designate what they mean in a sec here. And we want to keep them as all numeric because SPSS likes numbers. We have 60 cases. They all match up there. There are no extra weird characters like dashes. Okay? So I'm liking it right now, as we see, at least for enter datum into column 1 and column 2. Okay, what are we going to do next? We're going to go into variable view, and then we're going to name our variables. And in the first one, we're going to put scores, and then the second one, we're going to put caffeine. So here we're going to put scores. And this one, we're going to put caffeine. Okay? So we keep the type as numeric, and now we're going to create labels. And we did this in SPSS Assignment 1, as you'll, we're going to create labels. We did this in SPSS Assignment 1, not too difficult. And this just creates a handy label for us in outputs and stuff like that. And for the labels, we're going to call it correct answers. And for the caffeine label, we're going to name it caffeine. Okay, whoop-de-doo, woohoo. And so the next thing that we're going to do is specify the values. And you will remember this, hopefully from SPSS Assignment 1. And we're just going to do it for the caffeine row, because remember we have those values of 1 and 2. So we want to designate what 1 and 2 mean. And this is where we'll do this, in the values section for the caffeine row. So we'll click that, and we'll specify what value 1 means. And value 1, we're going to designate as meaning caffeine. That's our caffeinated group. We're going to add that. And for value 2, we're going to label them as, remember, our placebo group, placebot group. And we're going to add them, and we're going to press OK there. And then for the types of measures, we're going to do scale for scores and nominal for caffeine. Okay? So remember, this is our nominal scale where we designated, we've got our caffeinated people and our placebo people. And we are ready to analyze the data. We've got our scores, and then we've got our groups of people. We've got 60 total scores, and we're going to basically compare the first 30 scores to the second 30 scores. The ones versus the twos. The ones versus the twos. Okay. So we'll go to Analyze menu and compare means. That's right. Analyze, compare means. And we're not doing a paired samples t-test. Remember, we're doing an independent samples t-test between subjects design. In the test variable box, you're going to put the correct answers. And for the grouping variable, you're going to click that caffeine in there, and you're going to define the groups. Group 1 is 1, remember, and group 2 is 2. And then press continue, and then you're going to click OK, and your statistics will appear. Are you ready for the output? And there you go, easy cheesy lemon squeezy. And you've got your output there. And you've got your t-score and your significant scores. Just taking a look and see how that experiment went and if there was significant data or not. Okay, so that was task 3. Woohoo! Is it really this easy? SPSS? Yeah, once you learn how to do it, it's pretty easy, right? And then it's just really all they do is just plug in these numbers and then spit it out, and you just have to know how to read the data. Yeah, and what statistics to use for what experiment. Yeah, in a nutshell, that's what statistics is for the majority of people, even the fancy schmancy statisticians. So, yeah, that's probably not an official word, fancy schmancy, but you know what I mean. So we're now on task 4, which is an ANOVA, analysis of variance. And let's take a look and see what you'll submit for task 4. Task 4, analysis of variance. What you'll submit for task 4 is an ANOVA test output for the study below. You want to test the effects of caffeine and a new drug called Limitless, which is a PKR inhibitor, on memory. And you have 90 participants. That's right, 90 people who really want to test the limits of their memory and eat free pizza at your college, let's say, where you're doing the experiment. So you decide to split them up into 3 groups using simple random assignment. Each group will receive a different pill, placebo, caffeine, or limitless, and you give them the same amount of time for the pill to take effect. Then you give each group the same list of 10 words. Each group has the same list of 10 words. And then you give them the same amount of time to study a list of words, and you test them for recall. Column 1 contains the scores of all 3 groups. The first 30 scores are from the limitless group. The second 30 scores are from the caffeine group, and the last 30 scores are from the placebo group. Column 2 contains 31s, 32s, and 30 of the number 3s. Yes, that's very similar to the last one, right? Except we're just adding another one. You notice that? I did. The 1s will be your limitless group, the 2s will be your caffeine group, and the 3s will be your placebo group. Let's start a new file. Oh, we have something going on here. We'll just use this one. Enter the data into column 1. Enter the data into column 2. Okay, seems pretty easy there. So we've got column 1. You number 1. And let me get that last one. All right. And we're going to put it into here. And let's see if there ends up being 90. There is, lo and behold. Feeling good. The data is working well today. Or I'm working okay today. Maybe that's what I wanted to say. Column 2 is right here. And we will copy that, the 1s and the 2s and the 3s, and paste it in. And we have 31s, 32s, and 33s for a total of 90. So we've got our 1s scores, our 2s scores, and our 3s scores. Pretty easy, right? Okay, where are we going to go now? That's right, the variable view, your favorite. And you're going to name your variables. We're going to name them scores and drugs. Drugs are bad, okay? Unless they improve memory, okay? And don't have bad side effects, okay? Perhaps. Okay, that was my bad attempt at some South Park humor. Specify type, we got it, numeric. And then we're going to create labels. Do you remember how that we do that? Correct answers and memory drugs. So that's what we're going to change this one. Memory drugs. And then we are going to, for the drugs row, specify the values of 1, 2, and 3 equal. So 1 is going to, let's remove these. If you have to, if you didn't start a new file. Okay, 1 is going to equal limitless, add. 2 is going to equal, I think it was caffeine, add. And 3, let me make sure I got this right. Yeah, and 3 is placebo. Today was a good day. He's getting them right. He drank his coffee this morning. He took his limitless this morning. Okay. and scale. Scale for scores and nominal for drugs. And we're there. Are we ready to run this data? Heck yeah. We are. Don't fear, just press the buttons and go forward. Analyze menu. Compare means. Really? This easy? And the one-way ANOVA. Oh, I should have designated that. One-way ANOVA. That's what we're running. Okay. So what do? We are going into choose one-way ANOVA from the list of tests. Did that. In the variable window, highlight your first variable. Answer is correct. Then use the arrow to move it into the dependent list box. Correct answers. Then highlight your second variable, memory drugs, and use the arrow to move it into the factor box. Okay. Click the Options button under Statistics and select Descriptive and Homogeneity of Variance Test. Options, Descriptive, Homogeneity of Variance Test, and select Continue. So normally you'd run the post hoc after you found results, but run it right now just so you don't have to do it twice. And you're going to click this Bonferroni and leave significance level at P05 or alpha of 05 and select the Continue button. And then you're going to click OK, and it's going to give you your output there. And of course in the book they teach you how to read your output and how to read the post hoc test and for the ANOVA. And you'll just copy and paste those into one single document. And that, in a nutshell, class, is the how-to on how to do the SPS assignment part 2, tasks 1, 2, 3, and 4. Cheers!